What's going on, everybody? It's Alex, and it's time for another NFL division preview for the 2025 season. Today, we're talking about the AFC East. I'll be honest, guys, feels like this division has a massive front runner yet again, but anything can happen on a given Sunday. So, what in the world is going to happen in the AFC East? Is there someone that dethrones the Buffalo Bills, or do they retain their AFC East supremacy in the passing of the torch from the New England Patriots? Before going any further, I want to talk about the division scheduling this year, as again, the divisional opponents play largely the same teams aside from a couple. Of course, every team will play their 6 division games, that's a given. Every team in the AFC East will play every team in the AFC North, and they will also play every team in the NFC South this year. Those are the 2 divisions. They're on rotation and happen to be meeting up this specific season. Taking a team like the Buffalo Bills, the reigning champs of the division, they'll be at home against one team from the AFC West, corresponding to their division finish last season, which was first place. They'll play the division winner of the AFC West, which is Kansas City. We're getting our yearly Bills-Chiefs showdown, as we have for the last half decade. And they'll also host the champion of the NFC East, which is the other Super Bowl participant, the Philadelphia Eagles. They'll play on the road against the division champion from the AFC South. In this case, that's the Houston Texans. And so, obviously, the same goes for each subsequent team. But there you go. That's how the NFC or AFC East schedule came to be. Now let's talk about each team and how they're going to do this season. We're going to start all the way up northeast with the New England Patriots. This is one of those sneaky teams that has got a lot of people as a dark horse pick to get into the playoffs in the AFC this year. And it's mainly because of 2 things. A full year of Drake May, who had some flashes and had some nice moments, but kept falling behind early in games, and the whole team they didn't have the team boot. Or the head coach, as a matter of fact, as well. So they fire Gerard Mayo, and they bring in Mike Vrabel, former New England Patriot Mike Vrabel. Can he guide this team back to the playoffs? That's the real question. They've got a pretty nice running back tandem. I like Ramondre Stevenson, and I know a lot of people out there are really hot on Travion Henderson, the rookie out of Ohio State. They also got a real weapon for Drake May, and Stephon Diggs. He's finally heading up to Foxborough after a 1-year pit stop in Houston. They've got Demario Douglas and Kayshon Boutte as well. Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper, interesting tight end tandem as well. I don't love all the weapons that Drake May has, but it's definitely not the worst receiving core I have ever seen. When it comes to their defense, I'm not as hot. I think that Harold Landry and Robert Spillane are some solid starters in this league. I like Christian Gonzalez a lot. Carlton Davis is a good pickup as well, but I don't love that defensive line, and I'm not super confident in the safety room. So a couple of holes, in my opinion, on the defensive line and in the safety room, but overall, there are some nice building block pieces for the Patriots this season. I think Mike Vrabel is going to get the most out of this roster that he can this year. He's a good coach. I'm honestly still surprised that the Titans fired him when they did. But I think they'll be ready week 1 for the Raiders. They pick up a win there. A couple of losses against the Dolphins. The Patriots always struggle playing in Miami. It doesn't matter what time of year. They always struggle in Miami. And I think the Steelers get the best of them week 3. They rebound to get a win against the Panthers, but then their first of 3 primetime games against New York-based teams. I know the whole Jets and Giants playing New Jersey thing, I know you can say that, but you get my point. They get the Bills on the road on Sunday Night Football week 5. That's an interesting one. But they got a couple of really easy games right after that Sunday night game. So even if they drop that game, they should be able to pick up 3 wins in a row against the Saints, Titans, and Browns. But overall, I think it's a late season slump with the schedule stiffening up right after the bye with Buffalo and Baltimore in back-to-back weeks. They've also got to go play on the road at Tampa as well. I think there are a couple tough road games for the Patriots this season. I don't think their schedule is too hard, but I think that this is a stepping stone year. And I think in 2026 is probably when we can expect to see the Patriots in the playoffs, more so than this year, at least, in my opinion. If things go right and they pick up a win against the Giants, and maybe they get a win against the Steelers, or the other game against the Jets or Dolphins, they could easily get to 10 wins, but I don't know if the team's going to be consistent enough, consistently performing to their utmost potential to win every game that, you look at the schedule sometimes and be like, oh, they should win that. So personally, I'm trying to keep things reserved with this team. I do think that if there is a team that's going to improve, and if there was one pick that I had to make for a dark horse playoff team in the AFC, it'd definitely be the Patriots. Though the way I have it going, I don't see them actually getting there and finishing at 8-9 on the season. And next, the New York Jets. Can this be the year they finally break that playoff streak? That's what everyone in New York, that roots for the Jets at least, is definitely saying right now, because this is kind of getting out of hand now with these last 2 years and the hope that there was for these last 2 years to fall flat the way that they did. There's no way. They've got to find a way to accidentally stumble into the playoffs sooner or later, right? And I'm going to be honest, I don't think this is the team to get there. They kind of have the leftovers of what happened with Aaron Rodgers and him coming in and kind of playing pseudo GM a little bit. But they go from Rodgers to Justin Fields. The Steelers and Jets will swap quarterbacks, or at least week 1 starters this season. Funnily enough, they play week 1 too. Breece Hall is still a great running back, though I hope that he can be healthy and the Jets can get a full season out of Breece Hall. I think that would be huge for New York. Garrett Wilson is one of the more underappreciated receivers in the league. He is a really good receiver. Has not had the best quarterback play to boot, but I like what he's been doing as well. Allen Lazard sticking around is a little interesting. I'm surprised he's not just following Aaron Rodgers and going to Pittsburgh, but I will see what he can do and see if he can provide some sort of a boost for Justin Fields and give him a true wide receiver too. And then Josh Reynolds being a third receiver isn't, I would say, bad at all. And then you got Mason Taylor from LSU as the starting tight end. I actually like Mason Taylor quite a bit. I think he could make some real noise this season for the Jets, especially as a safety blanket for Justin Fields when plays break down or whatever. Anyways, on the defensive side of the ball, you had the two Q Williams, Quincy and Quinnen Williams. But in their front seven, that's probably about the most that I like. I think that Sauce Gardner is a good corner. I wouldn't say he's nearly as good as he was, or at least he was made out to be a couple of years ago. I still think he's an above-average corner for sure. Michael Carter is another solid option as a second corner. And Andre Sisco bouncing around teams a little bit. Maybe he makes an impact for the Jets. Not sure, but again, there seem to be some pieces here. It just doesn't feel like a fully complete roster. Couple that on top of the fact that they've got a first-year head coach in Aaron Glenn, and I do not see this year going very well for the New York Jets. I think that Aaron Rodgers is able to get revenge on the Jets, or whatever revenge he can exact, or Justin Fields does not get revenge on the Steelers, whichever way you want to look at it. Then they get a tough one against the Bills at Tampa. Those are two tough games early in the year. I think they get a win on Monday night against the Dolphins. I should have made that goal. Gold markers are for primetime games. I definitely didn't do that for that first game against Miami. That's on Monday night. And then, they got to go to London and play the Broncos. I don't know if that's a very favorable matchup. And that game against the Ravens should be a loss. I don't know why that's not on there. But I think we could probably all agree that was probably what was going to happen. But I think they're going to get a couple wins spaced out here and there. I don't think they're really going to make a ton of noise. They'll win every handful of weeks, it seems like, and that'll be about it. And I think that they'll settle around 5 wins. But if Aaron Glenn and Justin Fields really gel together and Aaron Glenn's defense plays well, along with good quarterback play from Justin Fields, who knows, there might be a world where the Jets have a winning record at least this season. They pick up wins against the Jags and pick up another win against the Dolphins, and maybe they find a way to beat the Cowboys and beat the Patriots again, or beat the Saints. I don't know. They can find a way to put 4 more wins on the board. But as it stands right now, it is a 5-12 season that I have for the New York Jets. Next, let's head on down to South Beach and talk about the Miami Dolphins, a team that I feel a lot of people are very, very cold on this year. And especially when it comes to the fact that there's another team in this division that a lot of people are very hot on this year. This is a very pivotal year for the Miami Dolphins. Mike McDaniel, the head coach, really feels like he's on the hot seat this year. I think they've really got to make the playoffs if he wants to save his job. They've got Tua Tagovailoa, who again has a lot to prove this season, especially with the deal that he's on right now. I really like Devon Achane. He's a great running back. And of course, I think it's just how much are they going to get out of Tyreek Hill? How much are they going to get out of Jalen Waddle? I like the addition of Darren Waller, though it is a bit interesting to see him back after retirement. If he can turn back the clock, maybe it becomes a good thing, but I don't know. At least they've got a veteran presence, and they've got someone there that they can use, especially when they lost Jonnu Smith, who had a great end to 2024. Bradley Chubb's still here. I keep forgetting he kind of is around, I'm not going to lie. But them losing Jalen Ramsey is a huge blow to their secondary room. I mean, they got back Minkah Fitzpatrick, but when it comes to their actual corners, Jack Jones isn't too bad, actually. I do like Jack Jones, but I'm not super hot about Artie Burns or Rasul Douglas. So the defense, I feel like, is a little bit suspect. I think the offense is going to have to keep up with opposing offenses to try and win games, as opposed to the defense really being able to do their job. But who knows? Maybe they could prove me wrong. But Mike McDaniel has got his work cut out for him this year. Unfortunately, I don't have the Miami Dolphins sniffing the playoffs really this year. I think they go on a late run out of the bye to salvage whatever they had left. They've got a pretty easy schedule towards the end of the year, so if they're able to take advantage early and get wins against Cleveland and Carolina, and get that other win against the Jets, specifically like those 3, maybe pick up a win against the Falcons or the Chargers, I think they could be well on their way to an 11-win season. It's laid out for them. They've got some tough games against the Bills and the Ravens, and I think they get the Bills this year, actually. I think the Bills will be coming off a game against the Chiefs. I think they might be overlooking Miami the next week. And coming off a loss, getting an extra mini bye, the Dolphins will, I think, have a little extra time to prepare for the Bills. So I think that they jump on it and are able to steal a win away from the Bills in Week 10. But other than that, I don't see a ton of marquee wins for the Dolphins this year. And unfortunately, it's going to end up in a 7-10 season. I think they steal some wins from the Steelers and Bengals when they're trying to make pushes. But I'm not feeling great about this Dolphins team. And I think as a result, for a 7-10 season, this gets Mike McDaniel canned, and the Dolphins will be searching for a head coach in 2026. And finally, we'll wrap things up with the 5-time reigning division champs, the Buffalo Bills. And they've got one thing on their mind yet again: win the AFC. That is the entire goal this season. Of course, they want to win the Super Bowl, but with the way that they've been running into Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs and continuing to have AFC playoff failure, the goal again is to win the AFC. And then, of course, win the Super Bowl right after that. And they've got a great team to do so again this year. They got Josh Allen coming off an MVP season. James Cook just got paid. I think that they've actually got a nice receiving corps. I like Khalil Shakir. I think he can take that next step. I think that'll be super important for the Bills. They've got the second-year receiver, Keon Coleman. I like their tight end duo. Dawson Knox has, faded away in the realm of, the Buffalo Bills. He's been kind of replaced by Dalton Kincaid. But I actually still think that Dawson Knox is a solid option for the Bills. So that tight end tandem is really nice. Sean McDermott's going to have that offense cooking again this year. And then I like their defense, honestly. They got rid of Kyer Elam, which is a huge win. He wasn't doing too much for him. But they still have Ed Oliver and Greg Rousseau to handle the defensive line. I like that. Taron Johnson's a good corner. I like Taylor Rapp as well. Shaq Thompson, Terrell Bernard. They've got Matt Milano as well. I think that this defense is probably not one of the top 3 defenses in the league, but they're still a top 10 unit, in my opinion. And they're definitely going to be able to do enough in a lot of games with the offense that is in front of them as well. So I think that there are a lot of high hopes in Buffalo again this year. And surprise, 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 I think the Buffalo Bills are going to be a really good football team again this year. I think they're going to have a long winning streak. They're going to go into the bye undefeated. I think they get that week 1 home win against the Baltimore Ravens. I think they're able to win that game again after last season escaping with that win as well. Contrary to what I have done in the past handful of years, I actually think KC beats Buffalo in the regular season this year. I have picked Buffalo to beat Kansas City in the regular season for a couple of years now because that's what's really happened, and just because I want to see the Buffalo Bills beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. Not going to lie, but I think the Chiefs are able to get them this year. And honestly, that might be what it takes because the Bills can play the Chiefs really well in the regular season, but they have not won a game against them in the postseason, the Mahomes/Allen rivalry. So I think maybe that's the sacrifice they have to make. I think they have to lose to KC in the regular season. If they meet in the postseason, that's how they get. That's how they get a win. That's the superstition in me talking. But I think KC is going to get them, and I think because Buffalo's looking so far ahead and is preparing so hard for that KC game, and with the fact that Miami's got a bit of a mini bye going into their game, Week 10, I think the Dolphins jump on it because they're at home. I think they're able to rebound and beat Tampa, but another division winner in the Houston Texans, I think they get them on Thursday night. But, I think then they just cruise the rest of the season. Have a weird loss to the Bengals there. But I think that they've got a good head on their shoulders. I think they get a big late season win against the Eagles for positive vibes going into the playoffs. And again, the goal for the Bills is just to win the AFC this year. That's just the goal for any team not named the Kansas City Chiefs this year. Find a way to beat them and then win the AFC. But I think the Bills are going to be a great football team. The division is not very stiff. And as you see, I only have them losing one division game. I think it's 13-4 for the Buffalo Bills this year. And so, unsurprisingly, I have the Buffalo Bills winning the AFC East for the 6th consecutive season. And they win it by 5 games this year, too. It's not going to be close, I don't think. Patriots are going to surprise some people, but I don't think they have the pieces to get to the playoffs. So I think that they get to 8-9, and that's good for second in the division this year, which will set up a very interesting 2026. And then the Miami Dolphins at 7-10, with the New York Jets rounding things out at the bottom at 5-12. And so there you have it, the AFC East. What do you think? Am I completely off track, or did I hit it right on the head? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like the video if you enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you really enjoyed it and want to see more content from me. And yeah, that's all I've got. I'll see you in the next one.